This is how I have cured my own depression. I use two tools. The first is perception shift. The second is manipulation of subconscious association. We're going to learn through my story what are those two and how to apply them to manage your own depression, simply by explaining what have I done. The first one is perception shift. I have already filmed a complete video about it. You need to watch this video first before watching this one. The second one is subconscious association. So what is subconscious association? To understand it, we need to go through Pavlov's experiment. Pavlov is a doctor. He brought a dog, rang a bell, and brought in food. So the dog started to produce the normal physiological response of producing saliva, salivation. And again, he started to repeat it. Dog, bell, food, salivation. Dog, bell, food, salivation. After a few times of repetitions, he brought the dog, he rang the bell, he didn't bring any food, but the dog started to produce saliva, salivation. What happened? Without even the dog realizing it, he started to associate, to link the voice of the bell with food. Food has nothing to do with the bell. He started to produce a physical, physiological response of salivation for something that's not related, like vision of the food or smell of the food. So this is conditioning, subconscious conditioning or association. Now the brain of the dog associate the voice of the bell and food. That's it. So by using both of them, the perception shift and subconscious association, I managed and cured my own depression. To do that, we need to go through 3 steps. The first is identification of the problem. There is a problem. The second is what caused the problem. And the third is how to fix or change the causes to cure the problem. So let's start with the problem. What was the problem? I am going to tell it through my story. By 2018-2019, I started a project. This project failed, did not achieve whatever was expected of it. It has psychological toll on me. Before it and during it and after it, I was working at the university. I'm now an assistant professor at the university. So around the project, I had 3 jobs. I was a full-time, and still I am, teaching full-time at the university. I was a part-time clinician, then an occasional profession of developing and teaching and training courses. So I used to do the 3. By the end of the project of 2019, it failed. By the early to mid 2019, I changed my university from old one to new one. By the end of 2019-2020, I started to develop some symptoms. The first and the most common one of depression is sadness. And again, this is not a bad day sad, no. It was lack of happiness, not just sadness. I was not happy. The only time I was happy is when I was eating fast food, junk food. By the second I stopped, I finished my meal, I started to feel sad. Okay, so by sadness I mean lack of happiness, and it was very evident. This is a big one. Everyone knows depression is sadness, but this is second step of it. You're not just sad because there is environmental instance that happens at this second, no, at this day, no. It's something that sticks with you almost all the time. First one. Second one, I start to develop irritability. I was easily angered. I would get triggered like that. One of the worst triggers that I had was driving. I hated driving. At this point, I would get road rage. And this is a keyword. I hate it because already I have fixed it. But at this time, I was really hating driving. So, first sadness. Second one is anger management issue. I would get anger easily. Third one was burnout. I started simply don't want to work. I would regularly cancel appointments at the clinic. I have completely stopped my training profession. At this time I was completing my PhD. I, for one complete year, stopped working on my PhD. I would only go to the university because I have an obligation to do it, and it was heavy to the soul to do it. I had just to get up and go to the university. Burnout, I didn't want to do anything, and whenever I had the choice, I didn't do it. Then it got even worse. I started to develop sleeping disorders. I have never had sleeping disorders. I started to have them. Sometimes if I have to wake up at 6 a.m., I still cannot sleep up to 4 a.m. The fifth and last one, which pushed me over the edge to induce change, I started to develop psychosomatic pain. So what's psychosomatic pain? This is a physical pain that originate or emanate from a psychological cause. At the days of the university, and I'm going to explain a little bit, I would go to the university 2 days for teaching schedules, only 2 days. At this day, I would get very bad sleeping disorder, and I started to get stomach ache at the morning. It did not happen in any other day, so it became extremely clear this is a psychosomatic pain. So this is a problem. Depression with multiple symptoms. Okay, how to fix it? The second step is to identify causes of this problem. I had two major causes. The first one was the fallout or the outcomes of the failed project. It had taken a toll on me. Second one was the change of my university. Up to the end of 2018, I used to work for a private sector university in Cairo, Egypt. Then I transferred to a public university by January 2019. There is a difference between both of them. The private university I had to teach for 4 days and I had 1 day for research. The public university I had to teach for 2, had 3 for research. And that's important later on, so keep it in mind. This change was really bad for multiple reasons. The first, the public university had a major conflict between the dean and vice dean, and this had made the working environment extremely toxic. There was like always conflict. Everything came difficult. Every decision had a struggle around them. So this is the first one. Second one, at this point, I hated driving. I hated driving. I am triggered easily, and again, driving in Egypt was hard because in Cairo there is a very rude taxi driving culture. So it cut you off the road, and by the easy irritability I had, I would get extremely triggered, angered, and the day for me was ruined. So I hated driving. And the catch was, for the new university, even so I go 2 days per week, I have to be on site only 2 days per week. I have to drive 1 more hour there. The private university was located in Cairo. The other university is another city outside of Cairo. So I had to drive 2 hours back and forth. So this was a major trigger for me. Third one was heat. The private university had air conditioning, the public university did not. So I hated heat. I had to suffer from it. Okay. This point, it got worse and worse and worse. But at least I started to recognize what caused this depression. So let's fix them. This is the third step, how to fix it. Let's start with the driving one. It's a big one. How did I stop hating driving? And I truly hated. I would suffer in an extreme state of road rage. I get angry, I shout out. How did I fix it? I started by understanding the concept of perception and subconscious association, break down the issue. One of the worst situations for me was the anger associated with poor driving taxi drivers. So my perception that me and him, we are all equal on the streets. He cannot cut me off. Simple as that. This is rude, this is not right. But again, I started to refer back to the concept of perception. Whatever we perceive is not the reality. So I started to look, what else is there in reality? Well, I'm a university doctor. I have, to a great extent, comfortable life. He's not. He's a driver. He works from 8 to 12 hours per day. I'm sitting in my car, which is relaxing environment, my own private car. He's sitting in a public taxi or microbus or whatever. I'm sitting in my own air conditioning. He's maybe sitting in a non-air conditioned car. I'm listening to my own relaxing music. He's suffering from noise, talks, back and forth. So by starting to contrast my life with, let's say, what would assume to be an average taxi driver life, I started to find out that he might be having a really bad day and it causes him to do these actions. By doing that, by shifting my perception to the whole picture of reality, my anger started to dissolve and be replaced with sympathy. I'm feeling sympathy for him, for his or her bad situations. Okay, I'm having comfortable, easy drive, maximum 2 hours. He's stuck in a car for a few hours. Maybe he has financial issues, maybe. And by shifting my perception, perceiving another part of reality, it gradually starts to not be an issue. But even so, I am not angry about driving, about being cut off, and it took a lot of work to re-perform this analysis every time someone cuts me off. I'm not angry from driving, but still I don't like it. So by understanding subconscious association, I start to realize for having anger and resentment for a long time, subconsciously I have associated bad times, anger with the car. Okay, how to reverse this one? I start to produce positive subconscious associations. I would not drive the car unless I have a sugary beverage with me, either juice, soda, whatever has sugar in it. I would have to drink it while I'm driving. By doing that, I would flush my brain with dopamine as a product of drinking sugar. Again, it was bad for health. I stopped it a few months later, but for some time, it produced a positive subconscious association. The next one, I didn't listen to audiobooks back then, and I would choose the most interesting book I would like to listen to, and I would only listen to it in the car. By doing that, I started to look forward to driving instead of wanting to run away from driving. So, doing that for a few months, my brain starts to settle down to build positive association with the car. I am not angry anymore. I don't hate driving anymore. And that was it. Again, it was not easy. I had to retrain my brain to replace anger, which is programmed for a long time from good drivers, by sympathy, by rewinding and replaying the tape of comparison, by seeing the whole reality. Few months in, this was done. So, big part of it was driving. Again, regarding driving, I would get really angry for driving 4 hours per day, and already I have hated driving. So, my perception, I am driving double the hours per day, but this was not the reality. The reality that I was driving only 2 days versus 4 days. 4 days by 2 hours, 1 hour back, 1/4, so that's 8 hours per week. 2 days, 4 hours per day, that's the same 8 hours per week. So my driving was the same. My own perception that was negative oriented. Again, by realizing that, combining with shifting perception regarding driving, using subconscious association tools, I was done with driving. So the next problem with the poor atmosphere, the toxic environment in the university. How to do it? I start to shut out perceptions, focusing, thinking, discussing problems or situations that I cannot control or change. I didn't want to know about the conflict, how this is happening. I would stop my colleagues who spoke of it. I would leave the room. I don't want to put this negativity in my brain. At the same time, as I shielded out the negativity, I started to create subconscious association. As I've said already, I have multiple sources of income. One of them is the university, one was the clinic, and the clinic was for me the major or the big source of income. So how to create positive association? If I wanted to buy something for someone I care about, like my wife, my father, my mother, I would only do it from the salary of the university. So I started to associate their happiness with the university, and I started again to examine reality. I started to change my perception regarding the university, associate happiness of my parents, my wife, with the university, and I start to examine reality. My reality again, it's hot in there. I hate it, but this like 2 or 3 months out of the year. Is there is positives there? Yes, I had so much free time to do my own research. So this is a positive. I did not focus on, I did not perceive it. At the same time, when I compared my working at the university versus my friends who work at Ministry of Health, public university, so on, the work environment, the salary, the situation is much better at the university than the hospital. At least I don't have shifts there. So it was much better at this point. Again, by working at the university and having advanced degrees like PhD, this helped me develop a lot of skills and helped me market much better clinical breaks, which made me much more money. So there was a lot of positivity, but my brain was negative oriented. So I started to again to re-manipulate my perception, to focus on the positive, to feed the positive in my brain, and voila, I no longer hated working as a university. But this point, by end of 2020, early 21, I was free. Simple as that. My depression was gone. I'm back. No burnout, no irritability. I can work. My psychosomatic pain, my sleeping disturbances have gone. Again, it was not easy. I had to realize 2 points. The first, whatever I perceive and see is not reality, and how to shift my perception by again repetition of whatever positive I can find and shield my brain of the negativity. This is one. Second is creating subconscious association by associating this work with people that I have love, by creating association with books that I like, by creating association by physical factors like dopamine produced by sugary foods. I was done. I had no more depression. Everything was good. By this point, I started to research whatever I thought I created as a knowledge or found out through books, through my own thinking, find out that it has been written in a religious and ancient text for thousands of years. And this will be our next video. In our next video, we're going to review ancient and religious texts that discuss the concept of perception, reality, and perception shift. See you.